All. We want to thank Peggy Baker for being on with us. She's from Operation First Response. Operation First Response. Peggy Baker is on the phone. Hi, Peggy.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
Good. Where do you live?
I'm in Culpeper, Virginia.
Okay. Well, we got a radio station there. You know that probably.
I do.
Yeah, American Family Radio in Culpeper, VA. Well, we wanted to talk to you about your ministry because there's a great story behind this, I understand. Your ministry is called Operation First Response.
That's
And
correct.
why don't you tell our listeners about it?
Well, I will. I think that for myself and all of America, on 9/11, our lives changed forever. And with that tragic day, my son was 25 at the time and actually worked in the D.C. area as an electrician. And he decided to, like so many of our sons and daughters, decided to join the military. And to be honest, I had no idea the sacrifices that were being made by our military throughout history. However, the good Lord was about to open my eyes and show me. Sometimes when it touches your life in a personal way, you really are able to see what's going on. So he went into the military, and like most mothers, I think I was very concerned and didn't really know how I was going to handle this, him being away and under such dangerous circumstances. So I decided to become involved in online military mom websites and forums and whatnot, and I became friends with a lot of moms that were in the same position as I was, and in 2004, early in 2004, one of the mothers that I had become friends with, her son was injured and he had lost his leg, and so she was meeting him in Walter Reed Army Medical Center in Washington, D.C., and I'm a couple hours from there, so I decided that I was going to go in and see her, and with that, I believe that the Lord changed my life from that day forward. I went in and was among some of the most courageous, bravest people, and not only the military as well as the family members that were there and under some really difficult times and a lot of stress of just trying to, hope and pray that their son or daughter or relative, however they might be related to them, was just going to live through the experience and be able to move forward. So with that, I could just see where there were so many things that I could do and to try to support here in the home front what our young men and women in the military were doing overseas. So I began going into Walter Reed at that point 2 to 3 days a week and really becoming familiar with the families and bringing in items that they might request. When you're far from home and most of them staying in hotels, it's difficult, and it's difficult to get away from the hospital scene to be able to get different things that you might need. And so I started bringing those in, and as time went on, I realized that what was happening to these folks was that either a spouse or a family member was leaving home, leaving their job, and coming and spending a year, 2 years, and sometimes even more with their family member because they needed to be there to take care of them when they weren't in the when they were in an outpatient situation. So with that, I realized that I was on the phone talking with or listening to messages from people trying to repo vehicles outside of the gates of Walter Reed and folks that had worked all their lives, for their homes being repossessed and, power bills and being shut off and, just one thing after another terribly traumatic to these families since they're already in a, very difficult situation with their loved ones. So I realized that we needed to do something, and this was what we were going to be able to do, is try to help them to take care of what was going on at home and not have to worry about, are we going to lose our home? And not only was this tough on the family members, but this is also tough on, our soldiers that were recovering, to feel like you're a burden to your family and that there's the possibility of everything on the home, in their homes going awry is a terrible burden for them. So that's in 2004, OFR Operation First Response began, and we began receiving donations. And so what we do is try to take care of rents and mortgages and utility bills and vehicle payments and vehicle repairs and that type of thing. as time went on, and we traveled this journey, we became very involved with these families, and they became like family members of our own. And so we've traveled this journey now for 10 years. And what we really see is, yes, at the time of injury, there's a great need. But what's most significant is what's happening to these young families as the service member leaves the military and goes into the VA system. And the backlog that's there is tremendous. So during that period of time, these families have no income, little or no income, and a lot of times the spouse, so many of our service members are so severely injured that the spouse really has to be home, or mom has to be home taking care of them, so they become caretakers. So it's a very difficult financial time for these families. And you may have heard, with some of the numbers, there's over 600,000 pending cases within the VA, and almost 400,000 of those have been pending for over 125 days. So you can imagine, the financial devastation to these families. So it's a huge concern for us, and we've been blessed to be able to serve over 11,000 families. And, I was just a homeschool mom on a farm, a 17-acre farm in Virginia, when the Lord decided that he was going to show me what I was going to do with the rest of my life. Mm. And it was to serve these families and try to, make sure that we hold them up during these times when, they can become homeless. My big concern is that these are proud warriors, so unfortunately they take a long time to ask for help. And by the time they get to us, it's a full-blown fire, so it's really difficult to put out. So it takes a lot of funds to be able to help these families, but it is so very important. These are the young men and women that would put their lives on the line for you and I, so that we can have this interview today, and we can do the things that we're able to do in this blessed country,
Peggy, let me ask you this. I'm not trying to put you on the spot here, but just give me your opinion, just from your observation. Give America a grade, just in general, on how it treats our wounded and disabled veterans. You're talking about the backlog. Are these men and women that drop off the radar as far as a lot of politicians are concerned? From A to F, give America a grade on how it handles these wounded and disabled vets.
Well, if you're talking about politicians and some of the entities that are in place that are supposed to be helping our veterans, I'd say it's a D-. If you're talking about American people like you and I that are coming forward and trying to help them, then I'd say that it's probably a B, because there's such a difference in those of us that are, coming to this with the right outlook and wanting to serve these families and wanting to make sure that, they are not falling through the cracks. But a lot of the systems that are put in place that's what's causing the problems, Like this morning on the news, I heard that they've just found out that there was a VA that was actually destroying cases that to try to make this backlog not look so large. I mean, oh my goodness, that just boggles my mind. I can't imagine going home at night and trying to sleep knowing that I had just destroyed lives, by doing these kind of things.
Yeah, we're talking to Peggy Baker. Peggy, we only got about a minute left. Tell our listeners, your ministry is called Operation First Response. Are you in? And what's your website? And what do you want people to do when they get involved with your work?
Well, our website is operationfirstresponse.org. You can go to the site and see what we do and get a much clearer picture. You can call us at 888-289-0280. But what I need is people to come forward and whatever it takes, whether it's time that you have or obviously we need to have funds coming in, so whether it's donations or fundraising, just reaching out to families. If there's a family down the street that's a military family that's struggling, take the time to reach out. There's so many things that we can do. And so if you go to our website and you can't find what you're looking there to try to figure out what you want to do to help them, please call us and we'll talk with you. And there just is so much that we can do as Americans to come together to make a difference in the lives of those who would give their lives for us.
OperationFirstResponse.org, right?
Correct.
Peggy, thanks for your time and appreciate your ministry and your work and your heart for our veterans and their families.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you for the opportunity to get this out to your listeners.
Absolutely.
God bless you.
All right, you too. We're going to take a break.